Human beings vary, right? Some people are really, really tall, some people are really short, and there's every gradient in between them along the spectrum. Some people have really dark hair, some people have really light hair, and there's every color and shade in between, right? And in the same way, people vary on a particular temperamental trait between people who really don't like new things and people who really do like new things. They call it neophobia and neophilia. Neophobia being like afraid of new things, and neophilia being loving new things. This is a temperamental trait that is stable throughout the lifetime. So even when you were 2 years old, somebody could have put you on that spectrum from really afraid of new things all the way to really loving new things and seeking new things and reaching for new things, right? You're somewhere on that spectrum. Everybody is. And wherever you are on that spectrum, you were like that when you were 2 years old and 10 years old and 20 years old and so on. And if you really love new things, new foods, new music, new cultural practices, traveling to new places, new forms of art, if you really are on that far end of the spectrum, you're really likely to be a liberal. And if you really don't like new things, if you're cautious about new things, if you think new things cause more trouble, you're probably a conservative. Natural variation puts everybody somewhere on that spectrum. Evolution had to solve a problem. It's the omnivore's dilemma. You want to be trying new things, new foods, for example. You want to try new foods because if you find a new food that's a good source of nutrition and it's an unexploited resource, that is really good for your survival. If nobody's ever tried a particular mushroom before and you find out it's really good and tasty and healthy and feeds you and your people, then you've just found a new resource so that can help prevent a famine, for example. Over time, that helps you survive. The other side of the omnivore's dilemma is, of course, that mushroom might kill you or make you sick. So you're in a position where it's good to have that variation. That's why evolution created that variation. Because you can't have everybody being a neophiliac who just loves to try new things, because it would wipe out your band. And you can't have everybody being overcautious, because then you will die of starvation if your particular food sources that you like happen to not be growing very well that season, right? So you need a variation of those two, ends of the spectrum. So we have it, and we're stuck with it. And it's actually a good thing, because in a lot of ways, not just in food, in a lot of ways, there's an advantage to finding new things, trying new ideas, experimenting with new things, right? There's an advantage to that because change can happen, and change can often be an improvement. Things can progress. It's also true that sometimes change makes things worse. It's also true that sometimes what you have already figured out works well is good. I don't know if you've ever been in the position where you're working for a company and you've been doing things for a long time. They get a new manager in, and the new manager wants to just stop doing what everybody's doing and do something different. And you've already worked out a lot of kinks over time. Say you've been there for 10 years and you've tried a lot of different things and you've figured out a good way to make things work, and then the manager comes in and said, "No, scrub all that. We're going to try it this way." And it doesn't work. Everybody falls flat on their face because the new manager doesn't know what you have all learned over your years of trying things out, right? So change can often make things worse. That's the point, in a lot of different ways. This is a very fundamental thing. This exists in the animal kingdom as well. There's variation between neophilia and neophobia. By necessity, survival depends on it, survival of a species. So it's a very natural thing. This dilemma doesn't just exist for omnivores. In our hunter-gatherer days, where we spent most of our time as a species, if you explored new areas, you might discover new resources, but you also might discover new threats or new predators, new enemies. It's obviously an advantage, especially under some conditions, to be more open to newness. And it's also an advantage, especially under some conditions, to be more cautious about new ideas or new foods or new techniques or new technologies or customs. Even in your own personal life, you would want some balance between trying new things and sticking with things you already know work well for you. So this is a basic division between people. And because of basically because of search engines and because of social media, now these two ends of the spectrum and everything in between have artificially split into two opposing camps that are enemies to each other. We have a natural tribalism, which is another evolved trait because we are a naturally social species that has lived, at least throughout our history, in tight-knit groups in competition with other groups. So we have a kind of natural tribalism, and it binds people together against our enemies. We get to have the joy and the feeling of closeness and camaraderie and unity. But in order to have that, we have to have an enemy that we hate or dislike very strongly. Unfortunately, this has come about in the gap between neophiliacs and neophobics, between liberals and conservatives. So that's all interesting philosophically, but you personally have people in your life that you have a difficult time talking to because they're on the other end of the spectrum and things have developed in a way that you now feel that they're in an opposing camp and you don't understand them. If you think about it with this understanding about the difference between those who want things to stay the same or have a stronger desire for things to stay the same and those who want to change things, you will detect this in your conversations with them and you'll recognize that they are on one side of a spectrum that you actually have in your own life. In your own life, you have some things that you try to keep the same. You try to keep a routine, or you try to keep a set of standards that you follow, that you try to follow, that you think are good, and you try to keep those things that work in your life stable. And on the other side, you want new ideas, you want new things, you want to try new things. So this division that you feel between you and the other person, say if you're a liberal and they're a conservative, this division you feel is actually the same division you have in yourself. It's not really a division, it's a spectrum that should be there. It should be there in our government and it should be there in you, right? It's not something wrong. We've been misled into thinking that it's something wrong, that some people feel more strongly about that and some people feel more strongly about this. And because we have become tribal about it, we've become unable to talk to each other and to see each other for the very similar humans that we are. When you're in an argument and you get upset and somebody makes you feel wrong and you double down on your position, even though kind of in your heart, that there's some truth in what they're saying, but because you're riled up, you don't want to admit the truth in what they're saying. You kind of go more extreme. Your point of view becomes more one-sided. That's what's happened. Like the more animosity we have toward each other, the more people have fixated or focused on their side of it and become more one-sided. And I think that if we understood and recognized that we are very similar, and if you recognized what it is about them that has put them in the partisan camp that they're in, is something that's in you also, and something that's vital to our survival as a species, I think you will be better able to see them not as an enemy. And if you can do that, you'll be able to talk to each other, and we can all become closer together, closer in our positions, because we won't be so hell-bent on defending our side and becoming so one-sided. It's just a very basic division in nature, produced out of necessity, and the trade-offs built into the requirements for survival. Ideally, every person would be both exploratory and cautious, but there is going to be a natural variation between us also. One of the interesting things in learning about this, I thought, was that liberals tend to move to cities. There's new things, different things, changes, new technologies, new restaurants, new music. And conservatives tend to move to rural areas where things seem more stable, like the good old days, more unchanging. It's just really what people feel comfortable with. if you're naturally cautious about new things and it makes you kind of anxious when things start changing too much, too quickly, and everybody's got a threshold of that. I mean, that can happen in your life too. As a matter of fact, almost everybody has a stressful reaction, even to really good things like getting married or buying a house. It's a very happy thing. It's a very positive thing. And still, people's stress levels goes way up because that is a big change. And the more things change, even if you have a really high threshold, even if you love new things, even if you're really far on the end of the spectrum of neophilia, there is still a certain amount of change that can happen that would make you uncomfortable or make you feel anxious. It's just too much, right? Everybody's got a threshold of that. And it's built in. It's not their fault that their threshold is what it is. It's a temperamental trait. It's genetic. It can be slightly altered by upbringing, but that trait is there throughout your whole life, and there's not much you can do about it. And this spectrum of neophilia to neophobia is related to anxiety. When there's too much change too fast, people feel anxious. And they've found that conservatives tend to be more anxious people than liberals. And even within a person, there's some variation. They found that people became more conservative in their views shortly after 9/11, when the anxiety level was very high in the United States. They were also able to, in one experiment, they had Republicans imagine that they possessed superpowers and could not be injured, and then fill out a questionnaire on their political views, and they became more liberal when they imagined they couldn't be hurt. I find this subject fascinating, and there's a lot about it to learn. If you want to know more about this topic in general, I've done a couple of podcasts on this already, season 1, episodes 14 and 15. Check those out. And if you have any questions for me or want to make a comment, you can write to me at adamkahn@usa.com. And I invite you to follow my blog at adamleekahn.com. This is Adam Lee Kahn on The Atom Bomb. This Atom Bomb podcast episode is sponsored by Anchor, a podcast platform, the one I'm using to make this podcast. It's super easy to use and allows you to easily create your own podcast. You can record and edit your audio right onto the app. In fact, you can do everything on your phone. Anchor also makes it easy to monetize your podcast and get wide distribution. Anchor automatically makes your podcast available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You can download the Anchor app for free or go to anchor.fm to get started.